Hello everyone, Fanta here. You are watching FANTAVISION, and this week we are doing another Tales from Retail episode about GameStop. Shocker, right? It's not like I'm following a pattern here or anything. So, this week is going to be another one of those explanatory type videos, not really so much of a rant, more of this is what's going on behind the scenes, because I'm sure a lot of people don't really realize how many different types of trade-in processes there are, and how complicated some of them can get, and how some of them are actually pretty stressful. But before we dive in, all the people are getting their time codes ready. I am drinking the Made in San Diego Ballast Point Golden Ale. I think that's the name of it, Made in San Diego. I have no idea. This is what the can looks like. It's only in San Diego, I believe. So my dad brought some back to me, but this also tails into another discussion, which, well, it's not really a discussion, it's more news, which this Thursday I will not be streaming as long as usual. I'm going to be cutting the stream short because Friday morning I will be going to San Diego for the weekend. I'll be back on Monday, but that will not impede any of the Tales from Retail stuff. None of the scheduling is going to change. The only thing that's going to be affected is the streams. However, on Tuesday, we will be streaming at the normal time. It's going to, well, maybe a little bit later. But we will be streaming for the normal amount of time. And Eric will be here and we'll be playing Mario Kart as usual. And maybe some Mario Tennis Aces because it was a lot of fun playing with people, but we only had like one person join. So if you've got Mario Tennis Aces, add me to your friends list. My Switch code is down below. Join us at, it's usually about 7 p.m. Arizona Standard Time, which right now is Pacific Time. So come join us. Come play some tennis. It's fun. That doesn't sound like fun, but it's Mario Tennis, so it is fun. Any other news things? Since the time code people are already skipping all this anyway? No, I can't think of anything. So let's dive right in. So, what could I possibly talk about when it comes to trade-ins? I mean, most people just know, oh, I go to GameStop, they give me 50 cents, and then I go on my way, and then I have to bring in a bunch of other games until I can finally afford something with the petty amount of trading credit they give me. That's not where it stops. So let's go ahead and just start with something that's the simple trade-in, which is a video game. Now, a video game, whenever we're taking it in for trade, we of course look at the disc, see if it's scratched, we scan it in. Now, not a lot of people, but some people tried to barter with us, which was the weirdest thing in the world. I mean, when I worked there, it was probably like 5% of the customers that would look at us and go, could you give us any more? No, the computer tells me what I'm giving you. That's what you're getting. I don't decide arbitrarily what it's going to be worth. I look at the computer and it tells me. It was the funniest thing. It's like, what store do you think you're in? Whenever somebody tried to barter for like the price of a game or for a trade-in, it's like, this is not, where do you think you are? I don't know of a single store that does that. I don't think Bookman's even does that. Maybe you've got a local store that does that, but I don't think any corporation does any kind of haggling at all. Like, you can't walk into like a Safeway or a Target or whatever your local store is and buy a game and go, well, can I get this for 50 instead? Why did I say Safeway for buying games? Anyway, they're going to look at you like you're an idiot, because you are an idiot, because you're at a corporation. No one's going to give you a discount. What the price is what the price is. Side random rant, but what are you people doing? So, back to game trades. So after we evaluate the game, if the game is in good condition, we'll process it through, let you know how much it is. If it's not, then we mark it as defective. And defective means it's scratched up, it just doesn't look clean. What I saw as defective is, would I buy this? And I know that it's going to piss off a lot of people, because a lot of people are going to be like, Fanta, did you really screw people over even more than GameStop already was? And my answer to that is no, because if you treat your stuff with respect like you should, you're going to get the full credit. But if you've been leaving your disc out on top of your case because you're too lazy to put it back in, and I can tell as soon as I look at it, I'm not going to give you full credit for your game. It's just not going to happen. Now, from there, a lot of people did try to argue the condition, I'm never gonna budge. I'm not gonna. Most people didn't. That was the cool thing. I think there were more people that were trying to barter for more credit than people that were trying to argue that their game was not scratched up. I feel like the people that didn't take care of their games knew they didn't take care of their games, so they're like, it's kind of on me. I can't really do anything about it, so whatever. You're gonna give me whatever you're gonna give me. Now, of course, most of the time, people didn't really pay attention to whether or not their game was being dubbed as defective, and they would just kind of process a large amount of games, or they have us process a large amount of games. So in a stack, if you've got like 3 or 4 defective games, I mean, it shows you on the screen, but people don't really pay attention, or they don't care. I don't know. Like I said, that was not a thing that most people argued. So now after that's done, if they accept, yes, this is how much you're going to give us, I'm fine with that. I'm going to go buy my game, or I'm going to save it, or put it towards something. Then becomes the process of putting these stickers on. Now, these stickers have actually changed over the years to several different things. I only remember 2 real basic kinds. The old style was really stupid, and I'm glad they don't do it anymore, is where they used to stick the sticker on the spine itself. And I'm not talking about just on the box. Sometimes people would put the sticker on the inner artwork, which just, oh my god, so annoying. So many games have been ruined by GameStop putting the sticker onto the cover art itself. Now, I never did this because I said, fuck that. I don't want anybody to go through that like I have been. So I would keep the little piece of paper that the sticker was on. I'd kind of open up the case, slide it in, and then fold it so it kind of holds on to it. Over time, it'd be stuck in there pretty well, so I don't have to worry about like somebody opening it and it falling out. That was fine, but that was a long time ago. Nowadays, they basically just put the price tag on the top right. They put the barcode covering the original barcode, and then they put a barcode on a little sleeve, which they put the disc in, and then they put in the drawer. Now, if it's a game that you already have 2 copies out there, because you do have to have 2 display copies, then you just take the whole case, you don't make the sleeve or anything like that, and you just shove it in the different drawers. And I say shove in because they're usually packed to the brim. Some stores, like, oh my god, I substituted at some stores and they were just wrecking cases. Just the plastic that keeps the cover art in was getting ripped and mangled, and the plastic was cracking on all the cases because they just smashed them in there. You're not supposed to do that. That's why I talked about in the Overstock episode how we had a bunch of bundles of games in the back to prevent that very thing, because we didn't want that in our store. So whenever we got shipments from that store, guess what? The cases were cracked because they're a bunch of idiots. I'm going to move because my chair's making stupid noises. So I don't understand why some stores would do that. It's just lazy. Maybe they didn't have the method of putting stuff in the back yet. We think that'd be common knowledge or just plain logic. But so that's a reason why you see some cases as messed up as they are. I feel like most people that own games and they still have the cases don't beat the shit out of them like the people do in GameStop, smashing them in the frickin' drawers. Now, they also had a law at one point in certain areas where if you traded in even games over a certain amount, I don't remember the exact amount, I think it was $60, something like that, then they had to actually note the name of each individual game on the trade-in. I'm not making this up, this is insane. And they couldn't sell the game for, I think it was 2 weeks, something like that. I don't remember the exact rules, but it was quite a while. And you had to keep all of the games together. You had to put the date on all the different games that they were going to be available to the public again to sell. And you had to put them back in a storage area. And you had to have them in order by the date that they could go out. So it's just a never-ending cycle every morning you come in of stuff you have to scan, see if there's enough on the floor. If there's not, you gut it, you put it out on the floor. So it's just a constant, never-ending flow of something else you have to do in the morning. Which in the morning, you already have so much to do, but I've already covered that, I believe. I think I have openings in GameStop. I don't know. I've done so many of these episodes now, I don't remember what I've covered and what I haven't. Before I made this video, I was like, did I cover that already? I actually just search my own videos. I do this sometimes. It's just, oh man. Anyway, so that's video games. Now, video games are by far the easiest thing to have traded in, obviously. I mean, it's just a video game. You look at it, is it shitty looking? No. Okay. And then, of course, the defective games, before I move on the subject, just kind of cover everything. The defective games would be marked as defective, thrown in a little cupboard area, and then certain times during shifts, if we noticed that it was getting full down there or we had nothing to do, we ship off the defective items to the warehouse, which I believe they either resurfaced, or if it was worth too little, it would alert us and we'd just break the disc or throw it away. And I know a lot of people are probably horrified by that, but I mean, whenever we marked a game as defective and it was marked for destruction, that was a game that was selling for like less than $1, and it was usually scratched to hell. So don't worry, guys. They weren't destroying Fire Emblem or anything like that. Which, again, leads into, where are all those dumpster diver people going? Because we didn't throw anything valuable away at all. I don't know. If I haven't done that video already, I definitely need to, because that stuff's crazy. Anyway, so moving on to consoles, which are the second most common thing that are traded into GameStop. Consoles, you have to, in front of the customer, test a game, make sure it still works, and then you have to wipe the system. First you get, of course, permission to wipe the system, and you have to go through all that process. Because a lot of systems, if you don't wipe it in front of the customer, there could be like a parental code on there. There could be something on there that prevents you from doing that. And the thing is some DSs were taken in and not wiped while the customers were still there by a lot of new people. And this usually happened around the seasonal time because we got lots of those traded in, and we had new people that didn't know what the hell they were doing. And because of this, I wound up having to call the customers to try to get the code to unlock the DS. And a lot of the time, I mean, they made the code forever ago, they might not remember it, the kid made the code accidentally. There's all these different things you can run into that are really frustrating when it comes to DSs or any system for that matter. But if you can't unlock a DS, we had to take that and shrink, which means the store loses money, and we have to ship it to the warehouse. Now, I don't know what they did in the warehouse to unlock these things, or if they even could, but I just know you get in deep shit if you screw up doing that. And this was even more strictly enforced, because if you were found to have not done that at one point, I believe you got written up. And that's not just because of the whole password thing. It's not because you lose, you take shrink. It's because I don't know if it was in my area, or I think it was actually, it was a store in my area where a woman bought a used DS for her children and said they found porn on it. Now, I don't know how you get porn on a DS. I don't know if they're taking pictures with the camera on whatever's on their computer, or I don't think you can upload pictures to your DS. So that doesn't really make any sense to me. I don't get that, but apparently, and this actually happened a couple times throughout, I believe, other states as well. And the weird thing is it seemed to happen all at the same time. It was within weeks of each other. And that just felt a little fishy to me. I think these people were trying to con GameStop, but that's the thing though. You can't prove that those pictures were on the DS before they bought it, unless they could somehow look at dates, but I think you can even manipulate those. I don't know. I don't know how they proved it. I don't know if GameStop called them on their bullshit or did what most corporations do, suck the customer's dick, give them whatever they want, hopefully they'll leave and don't cause too much of a stink about it. But this, I think, actually made it to the news. I don't know. I think they might have sued GameStop. So after that happened, if you get written up, if you didn't get it wiped. And I mean, I guess that kind of should have been a rule to begin with because of shrink, and it's just such a simple thing to do. I don't know. It was just an interesting thing I just wanted to tell you guys. Somebody found porn on a DS. And now we're not talking about like a 3DS. We're not talking about like newer ones. It's like on I don't think it was a DS Lite. I think it was a DSi, which makes me wonder, did somebody take the picture with the DS? I don't understand what kind of porn would be on a DS or why you'd look at porn on a DS. Did it have a web browser? Anyway, so another thing with system trade-ins was we saw a lot of weird stuff, which I've discussed, some of the weird things that we've seen on systems, and just wipe your system before you go in, seriously. Unless it's an Xbox One, do not do that for the love of God, because I don't know about now, but back then, the Xbox One, if you wiped that system, you have to go through a very lengthy startup process just to test a game on the damn thing. I mean, it took like 15 to 20 minutes to get this thing up and running. It was so annoying. I remember when people came in and like, oh, don't worry, I sped up the process for you because I wiped it. And I'm like, no, God, why did you do that? And like, what do you mean? And I'm like, just look. And then they see me go through this whole process. And another thing about the Xbox One is I remember it having to log in to Xbox Live to even get it going. I again don't know if this is the procedure anymore, but we had to connect the Xbox One to a Wi-Fi of some sort. I believe we had to use our hotspot a couple times just to get the game system to even start. Like, that's bullshit. I don't know if we're doing something wrong, but I remember we kept getting to the screen where it kept making us sign into some sort of account, and there was no way around it at all. I'm pretty sure that was correct. I think the Xbox One you had to take to somebody's house and use Wi-Fi to set it up, because we had people come back and go, we don't have internet, we can't set this up. I'm like, do you have a friend's house? Do you have something? They're like, do you have Wi-Fi here? And we're like, no. And this was before we had mobile hotspots at our work. It was the dumbest thing. Fucking Xbox started off with such a dumb start. Well, they haven't really recovered. They don't have any games. But what were they thinking? Why would you do that? And the PlayStation 4, I believe, took forever to wipe at first. Or was it the PS3? The PS3 or the PS4 took forever to wipe if you wanted to do the real wipe. It was like a quick wipe, but sometimes it wouldn't take out all the profiles. So you had to do the longer one. Sometimes it took like 20 to 30 minutes, but we usually let them go because we know, okay, we got to this point. We don't need a password. We're fine. But man, oh man, some of these consoles just do the stupidest shit to make you wipe them. I don't get why. Another thing with console trade-ins was you had to do the stupid pawn slip like I mentioned earlier, with the video games being over a certain amount. Now, they got rid of the rule about video games, but they always kept the rule for everything with a serial number. So that means phones, that means consoles, anything you can think of besides controllers, because some controllers do have serial numbers. That has a serial number, you had to go through this whole process, and you have to get them to put their thumbprint on this thing, you have to have them sign it, you have to look at their driver's license, get all their information off of that, and then with every trade, you had to go take the driver's license and punch in all of the information of that on that driver's license into the system. And so you had to do it twice for the stupid console trade-ins, or back when they had pawn slips for video games as well. So it just adds more time to this already time-consuming process. And because of this, whenever somebody came in, or whenever we had a rush of people come in on Black Friday to trade in their systems, we're like, what the hell are you doing? This is the busiest day of the year and you're trading in your system? Do you have any idea how long this is going to take? And we always had so many people come in on this day. I don't get what they were thinking. Black Friday, most people know, don't go to the store unless you want to pick up something real quick or you're prepared to wait. When a lot of these people were really impatient about their game trade-ins, I'm like, are you serious? Look around you. Look at our back counter. It was usually a mountain of games and consoles. I'm like, this is what we've been dealing with. So you're going to deal with it now. Go look around the store or something. We'll call you when it's done. Just doesn't make any sense. So that's game system trade-ins. If it was defective, you put it down in the drawer again, you box it up, you ship it. If it was good, you again have to have that trade-in pawn thing, so you can't sell it for a certain amount of days. On the back room, one side we had of all the systems we could sell. The other side we had all the systems we had to wait for, and we tried to keep them in order, so all the ones we could sell recently, or the soonest rather, we had at the bottom, and then all the systems that we couldn't sell for a long time, we had at the top. Simple logic. And that's it for consoles. That's about it. A lot of people did try to argue with us about the defective nature of their system, and that's because we also did care about how it looked, because you have to sell the system as is to the next person. You don't want a bunch of marker all over it. You don't want a bunch of Sharpie or anything. Like, if it looks like crap, you put a bunch of stickers on it and you can't get the stickers off, we're probably going to mark it as defective. And that's just how it is. I know that to a lot of people that sounds stupid, but imagine buying a system and it's got a bunch of like Hello Kitty little, or what is it called? My Little Pony stickers all over it. Like, would you want to buy that system? The majority of people would not. And that's the thing. That ruins our bottom line. Then now it's going to take us forever to sell that system to that one niche person that's going, oh yeah, I want all that shit all over my console. It's great. So unless somebody did something really artistic, or they had like a nice looking skin. Actually, no, even the nice looking skins. I remember we got some Wii U trade-ins and they had that really cool like faux wood look to it. But I had to spend like 10-20 minutes peeling the damn thing off and trying to make sure that didn't leave sticky shit all over it. So yeah, if you're looking to trade in stuff, don't put stuff on it, because we're going to make it defective, or we're going to make you stand around while we're peeling the shit off, just to make sure that it looks okay when it's all gone. Because if it doesn't, defective. Another problem with system trade-ins, before we move on to the last and final thing about trade-ins, were people that decided to keep the console after we wiped it. Now, most people did not freak out, but some people, just because some people would freak out, and they would be like, well, how do you get everything back on there? You can't? What do you mean? I mean, most of your saves are probably in the cloud, unless you didn't have Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. But if they didn't have either of those services, they were screwed. And a lot of them just accepted defeat, but some of them were like, well, you gotta reverse it. You gotta fix this. And we'd always just say, well, you wanted to trade it in. We had you confirm it was okay to wipe it. The worst trade-in things I ever had happen, the trading events. In fact, I actually have some stories I'm going to say for a future episode that I witnessed quite recently while I was in a GameStop. There was this kid, and he was old enough to trade in games, which I think is 18? I think it's 18. I think it's 18 to trade in stuff. I don't remember. I haven't worked there in years. So he trades in a bunch of stuff, and he buys a game, and then his mom comes back, and she's like, my son shouldn't have traded in those games. He didn't get nearly what they're worth and what I paid for them. I'm like, I had to, of course, explain, well, games decrease in value over time. These games were very old. They were not worth that much. And she asked, well, could we undo the trade? And I was told, you can't do it. Once you do it, you're done. And I even told him that as he was trading in the games. It's a common thing that we tell everybody. This trade-in process is final. It even says that on the receipt. So I'm like, I'm sorry, man, we can't do that. That's just how it is. He got his game, and he traded in his stuff, and that's just how it is. And she started swearing at me. And she called me a motherfucker, and she called me a piece of shit. And I just told her, I'm like, well, now even if I could help you, I wouldn't. Get out of my store. And she did. She got out of my store, said some more swear words on her way out. But unfortunately, and if you've heard this story, you know the very angry ending, for me that is, not only did my managers fix that problem, and I want to say that I made her sound a lot nicer in the beginning than she really was. She was kind of a bitch from the start. She kind of demanded the games back. She had a very aggressive tone. And if you've been watching my videos, you know that if you're not going to treat me with respect and you're going to be a dickhead, I'm not going to help you. And that goes against all of our policies to do the whole untrade-in thing. There's no process for that. There's nothing in our system that lets us do that. So, not only did she bitch to my manager, not only did she get her games back, the game that they bought, they got to keep for free. There are rules in place for a reason. If your son, who is an adult, made a decision, and he was a coherent adult, before people would try to go, well, Fanta, maybe it's something wrong with him mentally. No. I talked to this kid for a while. He was just fine. And this mom, a deranged lunatic, got her way because she's a bitch. And this is something I see time and time again happening in retail. And nowadays, I call people on their bullshit because I don't work in retail anymore. And I can do that. If I'm in a store and I see something going down, I will defend the employee every single time. Because fuck them, right? Like, what are you doing? This guy's making minimum wage and you're going to give them shit just because you're not getting your way? Because you don't want to obey the rules of the store that your 18-year-old son listened to and agreed to? When they say all sales are final at places, they freaking mean it. So, she got what she wanted. Of course she did. Just perpetuating asshole customer after asshole customer, not learning their lesson, like petulant children screaming on the ground for a toy. And what does mommy corporate do? Gives them the toy. Fuck corporate. Seriously, so stupid. That's why we can't have nice things. Anyway, let's continue. Got into a little bit of a rant there. I know I was just going to do an explaining episode, but sometimes the rants just kind of happen. And I know a lot of you have heard that rant already, but to those of you who haven't, that woman, oh, she's going to die alone. So, let's go to the last thing that gets traded in, and that is phones. Phones were the worst. Oh, iPods too. iPods and phones, they're both the worst. Mostly phones though, because phones you had to go through this whole process with making sure the SIM card was not fake, making sure that they were allowed to sell it, and you had to wipe it just like an iPod. And an iPod, for some reason, you have to like connect to Wi-Fi to wipe it. Like, this is another stupid thing that the system did, just like, or not the system, that these devices did, just like an Xbox. You had to connect to Wi-Fi to do something, and it was a pain in the ass every time. This is why we had to start up an in-store mobile hotspot. Of course, we didn't let customers use it because I think it had a limited amount of data, and it was through the carrier that GameStop was kind of... Oh yeah, GameStop tried to sell phones for a while. I almost forgot about that. It was so short-lived and unsuccessful, I forgot. I guess there's an episode about that, huh? So, we'd have to use our own service, which, by the way, was terrible, which was pretty funny. And it was just so annoying. Because, again, if somebody does not do this, which sometimes it happened, some of the newbies would forget to wipe the iPod, then that's a ton of money in shrink. Especially a phone or an iPhone or something like that. I mean, that's $300, $400 a store just lost. And that happened a couple times. I mean, that's bad. That's really bad. And I remember when that happened, I believe the people got fired almost immediately because they were just seasonal. So like, well, we're letting them go because we just lost $400 because of them. What a simple mistake, but simple mistakes sometimes cost a lot of money. And for phones, they followed the same kind of protocol that systems did. Gotta do the pawn slip, gotta get their information, gotta make sure it's in decent condition, and you have to like grade it yourself because there's a bunch of different tiers of conditioning. And they give you some vague description of what that means. You kind of have to decide for yourself what it is. And thank God the customers can't see what this is. The annoying thing would be is when customers were allowed to grade their own shit at home. I don't think GameStop should have done this. GameStop should not have given quotes online, because then people bring in the quote like it's written from God himself. Like, this is what it's worth, this is what it says, and they put very good condition, and it looks like they just use it as like a hockey puck. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? This is not very good condition. This is what it's actually getting. And then they'd be like, oh, but if you look at it, the screen looks just fine. Dude, the home button is missing. What are you talking about? People were ridiculous. That was the worst part when it came to trade-ins and having to argue with the customer. Because it's all subjective as to what the condition is. And they gave quotes online and just stupid. What are you doing, GameStop? Think before you do it. I mean, this is a common thing that I saw time and time again, not only at my GameStop, but other people's GameStop too. And if the guy was on drugs and he's trying to make money off of his stolen iPod, and I'm trying to market down below what he thinks it's worth, he's getting furious. And this happened at some of the more ghetto GameStops that I worked at. They just made it more difficult for us. As if our job wasn't bad enough, GameStop found a way. So that was by far the worst kind of trade-in, and I'm so glad that they don't rep that kind of, well, I don't work there anymore, but I was so glad when they stopped repping that kind of thing, because for a while, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but GameStop doesn't really give a shit about iPhones or phones or iPods or anything like that. Like, occasionally, you'll see a deal for it, but people don't really push for it at GameStop anymore. Nobody is telling you to bring your phone in and trade it in. At least I've never had anybody tell me that. They're always talking about games and consoles. Because GameStop keeps trying new ideas that they think is a great idea, and then it turns to shit because they lose a ton of money because somebody picks up the entire iPod case or iPhone case and walks out of the store saying, see ya, have a good day. It's much more of a risk and much more of a liability to do this whole trade-in thing with phones, because they were giving them an insane amount of money sometimes. I mean, this guy that worked at the Verizon store or whatever, he got a phone upgrade, not because he wanted the phone. Now, this was back in the days when you could get phones for $2 with your 2-year contract. I miss those days. He got his iPhone for like $15 and traded it into GameStop for like $600. I mean, he basically got every game that he wanted that year for free. Well, he got it for $15, actually. I mean, that's crazy. And we rarely ever sold used phones. I don't remember actually ever selling a used iPhone. The only time we ever sold anything was like a used iPod, and that was also a rare occurrence. And the thing is the new generations came out, those phones are going to continually go down in value, and they're hemorrhaging money with these things because they're not selling quickly. They're getting lots of them in as people upgrade or steal them or find them around the house. And they paid out quite a bit and then got nothing in return. I think I traded in my iPod Touch Generation 1 for like $150, which at the time, I mean, you could go out and buy a brand new iPod Touch for like $200 for the same gigabytes that mine was. And I think I actually did that. I put it towards games. But I don't remember ever selling an iPod Touch. I'm sure some locations did. I'm sure lots of locations did. But not at the volume that they needed to in order to make enough money to make it a viable thing. And I knew that as soon as they started doing it, I'm like, this is a stupid idea. I mean, these drop faster than game values. And what do you know? It didn't work, which is why they don't really rep it as much. At least, like I said, not in my area, not in any GameStop I've been in the past couple of years. Maybe your area still does, but just another failed idea from GameStop. I have a feeling that all these toys are also another failed idea from GameStop, considering that it's going to be bought out by some random investment company. I don't know. They seem to think they know what they're doing, but every single time they just stumble and drop the ball. So that was GameStop trade-ins. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Leave a like down below if you guys enjoyed the video. Of course, comment down below if you have any more ideas for GameStop videos. Is there something that I haven't covered yet that you want to hear? Is there some sort of topic or thing that GameStop's been doing that you've noticed that you want me to talk about? Something you might not know about GameStop? I don't know. Put it down in the comments, let me know, and it could turn into a video. In fact, I do have another video coming in the future, maybe 2 weeks from now, which will be a viewer-requested idea. So there you go. Could be turned into a video. And of course, subscribe for more content and join us tonight on Twitch because Eric and I will be playing Mario Kart and Mario Tennis Aces with the viewers. And of course, I can't forget this. You can't forget this. You always need to have a Fanta-tastic day. See you guys. To all those people that complain that I don't finish a beer during my video, I finished it. Look at that. I'm kind of sad though, because I usually drink half during the video and the other half while I'm editing, but I guess I'll just have another one.